Hello, my name is Dennis Westman, and for some of you, this may be your first introduction to me, but I am the Vice President of Business Affairs at Southeastern Oklahoma State University, and I prepared this video today to talk a little bit about the strategic budgeting process. I know many of you have not taken part in this kind of process before, and so I wanted to take time to provide you an overview as to what we're doing this year and give you some step-by-step instructions that are also included in the documents that I have sent out previously, and then also sort of provide you a big picture view as to how it's going to be used in the future. So to get started, it might be helpful to take a look at the documents that I had provided previously, including there's a document that's for FAQs, and there was a memo, and then there was also a sample budget form that you can take a look at while we're talking. And I have those as well, and so I'll just go through those, and hopefully this will answer some questions along with the FAQs. But obviously, if there are any other questions that this video or the other supporting material do not answer, feel free to contact me. My email address is included in this video as well as throughout the other documents, and I certainly want to hear from you if you do have any questions. So let's get started. The strategic budgeting process at Southeastern, we're sort of taking a first step to that at this point in time. So what we're doing this time around is initially gathering data related to your departmental budget requests. And really what I'm looking for is just creating a baseline of data. I'm wanting each budget director and each budget entity to provide input and feedback into the budgeting process by way of providing a set of baseline data. Now, I know some of you have never done this before, so it's pretty straightforward. When you're looking at the form, there's a couple of places to provide your budget data. Typically, most of you are going to have two main areas of expenditures. There's going to be operating expenses, and then you're going to have areas like maybe travel. Others may have some capital expenditures or expenditures related to certain, technology. You may even have labor expenses, and those can be included as well. But again, I'm not looking for everything to be perfect and everything to be 100% complete at this time. Remember, this is only a baseline. We're looking to get the process started here at Southeastern, and then next year, by the time we get to this point, this will be a much more thorough process, and you'll be able to work along with it because we'll have done some other things in the summer as well as the fall leading into the spring when we get around to doing this again. So again, it's only a baseline data, so please don't think that you have to have every single thing that's included in there to get started with this process. Now, I have a copy of the FAQs, and it looks something similar to this. And so to get started, of course, I mentioned the first few steps is going ahead and printing or at least reviewing the opening email, the memo that's attached to the email, the FAQs, which is the document that I have in front of me, as well as the sample form. Now, what you're going to do is take a look at your current needs or your expenditures that you have had in the past and input those into the form. So it might be handy to gather that information in advance of actually completing the form. And once you do that and you have all your documents in front of you, then you'll be able to complete the form in a much more efficient manner. Now, here's a little tip that I think is quite helpful, is that if you will compose your responses in a Word document, let's say, before you actually put them into the online form, it's much, much better because then you can simply copy and paste from the from the Word document into the form. And so I would certainly encourage you to do that. And that way, whenever you click submit, the documents are then sent off to the database, but then you also have a copy. And of course, you can also print a copy of the form once you complete it if you would like to do that as well. So again, draft your responses in Microsoft Word. It's going to save you a lot of time. It's going to be quite helpful later on. Now, the form that is available is linked in various places, either in the email, the FAQs, or even in the uh, initial memo that I sent out. And so you'll use that URL to access the online form for putting in your information related to your budgeting items. And again, once you're finished, you'll just simply click submit. Now, a couple of questions that usually come up that I've already seen on campus, and I might want to address is first of all, why are we doing this? Well, one of the big things that we're trying to do is again gather a baseline data and provide an opportunity for folks to have input into the budgeting process at Southeastern. I firmly believe that with input from our campus community and providing that sort of mechanism so that folks can provide that input will only make us stronger when it comes to looking at our financial resources and trying to determine the best way to utilize them. So it's very, very important that folks have input and be able to provide some information so that we can at least start this baseline. Now, another question usually asked is, what are the future steps related to a strategic budgeting process? Well, obviously, this is just a baseline. Right now, we're just looking at providing information to get the university community started into thinking about the budgeting process. Now, once this information is entered over the next couple of months, I'll be constructing a budget along with the various finance folks, as well as task force and committees and everything that will have input and make recommendations to myself as well as President Burridge. But we need to start somewhere, and so we started with this baseline data. Now, moving forward into the next fiscal year, my hope is to tie this even more closely to things like the institution's mission statement, the goals and objectives, maybe even down to the departmental level, to ensure that the folks that are asking for money, it ties in with their goals and the mission of their individual department on up to the university-wide mission goals and objectives. And so that's why we're wanting to do this. Obviously, we didn't have enough time at this point to put all of those steps in, but I wanted to get something started, and so that's why we're doing a baseline set of data. Now, other sort of practical questions, maybe you've not been familiar with your allocations, or maybe you don't know your account number and those kinds of things. Again, I'm not looking for exact numbers as far as allocations. You're welcome to contact the Office of Finance to get some information about your budget, or even your area VP, because a lot of them also have that access and can give you that information. Account numbers, I believe most folks should know their account numbers. If you don't, you're welcome to contact the finance office again, and they'll be happy to give you your account number. It's crucial that I have that so that whenever I'm accumulating these, I'll be able to index those by everyone's unique account number. If you have more than one budget that you're responsible for, you'll definitely need to complete this document multiple times. So for every budget and every unique account number, please go ahead and submit a budget information sheet for that. It's very, very helpful, but we only need one account number per one budget submission. So please be very mindful of that. Another question that's commonly asked is whether you're grant funded or not. Do I need to complete this? Well, honestly, most of the grants are already doing something similar, and so it would be helpful for the university to have a big picture view of not only our 290 or our typical E&G type funding sources, but also our grant funding sources. So I would encourage you to go ahead and complete this so that we can have the most complete picture available for budgeting purposes. Now, another area that typically is asked is, what if I have some new initiatives? Well, right now we're only looking at baseline data for existing items, and so please don't include new initiatives. Now, we certainly want you to think outside the box, want you to get excited about new initiatives, but if you could visit with your VP about those and run that idea or those ideas through them, that would be helpful, because again, we're trying to develop a baseline set of data without necessarily bringing in new initiatives that may require additional funding. Now, switching gears a little bit, questions have been asked about what's the funding outlook for FY 2017, those kinds of things. Well, as all of you know, the funding for fiscal year 2016 has been challenging at best. We've already seen several budget cuts. The university has addressed those in various ways. you can refer back to previous correspondence from the President's office for details on that. Unfortunately, 2017 looks to be the same way. We're looking at anywhere from a 10 to 15% cut on top of what we've already been cut this year. And so the funding is going to be challenging at best, but we still have a little bit of time left in this legislative session, so we don't know for sure yet how big the cut will be, but we will certainly keep the campus community up to date for those kinds of things. Now, again, that was kind of a brief overview or a brief summary of the strategic budgeting process, why we're doing it, sort of some practical tips on how to actually complete the information, and I hope you found this video useful. My plan is to continue to provide input as well as guidance to the campus community as we move throughout this strategic budgeting process over the next year. And as I mentioned before, if there are any questions or you have any comments or suggestions about the budgeting process or how I could best serve you, your department, and the campus community, feel free to drop me a line, send me an email. I would certainly love to hear from you. And again, you'll be able to see my email address at the bottom of this video. And if you have any other questions, please let me know. Thank you and have a great day.